He doesn't have any Fs to give.
He's probably like, I'll pay the fine.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he was prepared for it. He probably had it in his pocket.
Yeah.
Just waiting for it to happen.
But I'm sure we will see more two-sport athletes, especially when you look at guys like Pat Mahomes, who was a baseball player, is now an NFL quarterback. You had guys like Drew Henson, who was drafted. Brandon Whedon, who was drafted in MLB
people that are doing,
to play football.
That are actually playing, professionally in multi
at the same time. Is that what you're saying?
Not at the same time.
But switching back.
Not like a Deion Sanders.
Not like a Deion.
Okay, so that's the argument. Will we see another Bo Jackson or Deion Sanders?
People doing more Michael style of like retiring from one sport and then going to the other and being bad at it, and then
I can get that.
I mean, the only thing that I can see would be if someone goes where you can do like individual tournaments like tennis or golf. Being in,
or the guy from the Patriots, he played in the Olympics on the rugby team.
Yeah. I mean that's true. I just don't. I don't. Liability considering, I don't think that we'd ever. If we ever saw another two-sport,
but it's still. I mean, it's still like something where the Patriots could be like, rugby's kind of risky. You know, they still took that risk.
Fewer injuries in
absolutely.
For people that are playing with no pads.
I agree.
I think
proper tackling.
Yeah, but there's also no one on the Patriots besides Tom Brady they can't just get rid of and next man up.
I agree.
Maybe even Tom Brady. We'll see.
I think players are more expendable in the NFL, but
there's certainly a much larger roster. And
I mean, I think that until you get down to Mark Sanchez being your quarterback.
Right? But I do think that we run into those liabilities and taking the risk.
Would do that?
You know, of letting someone go play something with the possibility of getting injured and suffering.
That
other
point
product.
exactly. I think that the only way we'd ever see it is if we had another person who wanted to do that sport and baseball at the same time.
Yeah. I think he would have been able to give it a try a couple years ago and like maybe have done something with it. Maybe. I think it's it's a question mark, but now I think it's too late. He may not get injured ever, but football he probably would.
The other issue is no matter what sport you're playing, if you're going to play two sports, they're going to overlap.
Well, yeah, that was always the issue with Bo, too, because what was Bo? He'd finish the baseball season, and then he'd come and play football.
There was some overlap.
Stipulation.
There was some overlap with Deion, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, every sport overlaps in some
Deion
degree.
had the problem that his teams and the Braves, at least in the later part of his career, was making the playoffs all the time. So, that made it a little bit more difficult, too.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cowboys, they can't play. You've got the playoffs.
I'm in the middle of a World Series, though.
What I find interesting, too, is that, with the growth from that time until now with social media and publicity and marketing, not many teams would want to share a player with another professional team, even if it's not in their same sport.
I mean,
there is that possibility.
It depends. It also depends on the team. Because, like, a team like the Cleveland Indians, they're about Cleveland. Mm-hmm. So if let's say LeBron was a pitcher, and they could get, the return from LeBron for the city of Cleveland, letting him play basketball. Mm-hmm. They would do it. Would the Cavaliers do it? No, because they're more about...
And I find that interesting.
Maybe in city I could see
it. And I find that interesting, too, because Deion Sanders was someone that was in city because he was with the Falcons, right? And he was with the Atlanta Braves. Yeah. But Bo wasn't. Bo was with the Kansas City Royals, the White Sox. When he was playing with Oakland, the Kansas City Royals, and, the L.A. Rage. It was L.A. at the time.
Yeah, it was
L.A. Raiders at the time. Mm-hmm. So, that was two different cities. That's where you talk about, okay, where does this guy split his time when it comes to team responsibilities, when it comes to team media, when it comes to, photo shoots for the team or whatever it may be?
I mean, when it comes to the media, they just got to take a page out of Marshawn Lynch's playbook. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Right? Yeah. I guess that's true.
All right, so this has been a great debate, one of the more fun banters that we've had, but we've got to get moving because we have already gotten to the 50-minute mark and we haven't even touched the series yet. So
let's get into the series.
Yeah, so it hasn't started yet. By the time you listen to this, it will have started. But the Cavaliers versus the Warriors for the third straight year. So, really quick question, which will turn into a 67-minute debate. How is this for the NBA? Is it good to have the same teams play against each other 3 years in a row, or is it bad? What do you think, Tony?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it shows to the rest of to everybody else. I mean, it should have been clear in the playoffs when the fact that the playoffs weren't really nobody was really into the playoffs until we got to this point, because I think it shows the gross gap in talent. So in that way, I think it's exposing what's wrong with the NBA and what's bad about it. That being said, I think there is something good about a back and forth. It almost feels similar to Celtics Lakers. I mean, it doesn't have that history, but there's some familiarity of back and forth. This city against that city. We're trying to build titans to battle the other titan on the other side. I mean, I give a little bit more credit to Golden State because the West is just so much more talented than the East. But I also think it's bad because it shines a light on the disparity between the elites in this league and everybody else.
I mean, when you said that, do you guys watch Chappelle's Show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the player haters ball? It made me think of, I'd like to thank God for giving everyone so much and me so little.
That's a good way of thinking about it.
That's what you made me think of. Like the Cavaliers are Silky is that Silky Johnson?
Silky Johnson.
Silky Johnson. Yes. I'd like to thank God for giving everyone else so much and me so little. But the Cavaliers looked good. Their defense has gotten better as the playoffs have gone on.
Kevin Love has been much better this season than last postseason.
Oh, yeah, he looked like Dude Love back then.
Yeah, and, now he's back to doing what he used to do, averaging the double-double, and, maybe it was he didn't really know how to fit in with LeBron, because, LeBron and Kyrie kind of
already had.
Well, last year was kind of his first finals, too, because he was injured.
Yeah.
The first season, so... he's only really
he was injured
more.
part of the finals last season, too. He went out with a concussion.
Yep.
But going back to the question, I would agree it's a bit of good and bad, because there's the parity feels like it's just never going to get anywhere close to evening out a little bit across the league. And at the same time, it is fun to have this third matchup. And, each team has won one final, and now they're going, best 2 out of 3. And
I see the problem is I don't feel the same way. I don't like the Cavaliers. I don't like the Warriors. We've seen it, but it's not. I don't feel the spark. Maybe it's because it's just you guys watch Futurama?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got a lot of references to that.
Yes. Do you remember the episode where they signed up to vote? And they had the choice between Jack Johnson and John Jackson. So that's what you've got here. You got the Warriors who are picked. You choose Jack Johnson or John Jackson, and then you've got the Cavaliers who are the other one. And it's no matter what, it's always going to be the same crap. I don't have any interest. I'm probably not going to watch any of the finals.
So it's just it's too chocolate and vanilla for you. It's too plain.
It's not necessarily that it's too plain. It's just I'm fine with plain because in my opinion, plain would be the Spurs. There's nothing exotic or crazy about them. But I would be fine having them in the finals. It's I've already had this, and I when you eat something a lot and you're like, I'm sick of this.
Okay,
that's what
that's a fair that's a reasonable reaction to the third time having this matchup.
And for anyone saying oh, you're just not interested because you don't like the teams. No, I hated the Pistons. I hated the Lakers. But oh my God, was that a great NBA Finals?
Yes.
Oh man. Oh, such a good time. But I'm not feeling that now. Maybe it's because everything's manufactured. Like it's not. You're not building anything organically. Like
it seems like we got forced to get here.
Well, I think Golden State is pretty
is more organic.
Is more organic, other than bringing over Kevin Durant in the offseason. But they have. I feel like the reason why it's been consistent, either be it good or bad, is that Golden State for the last 3 years has had the deepest team. And with having the deepest team, you have a very good starting lineup, and you have, a good bench. The Cavaliers probably had the best starting lineup, but didn't have as strong of a bench. So with that mixture of both, they were going to be consistent for the last 2 years. Putting Kevin Durant on the top of the Warriors at this point was now the best starting lineup and the best bench. And the Cavaliers are playing the second best offense, and that's because of LeBron James and an okay bench. And that's why I feel Golden State does have the advantage in this. I think that's why it's been consistent, because there hasn't been much change, and the quality of play on both teams are great. But Kevin Durant being added there has now taken the, quote, better starting lineup.
So do you think the three-peat is good or bad for the NBA?
I feel like that is as close to old basketball as we can get to now because of that. I do think that they should change it, though. I do believe that they should change it. I believe
they need ways to make
to even out the teams, and not even just even out the teams, even out the conferences.
Well,
even out the conferences.
Bring Memphis to the East. That's
I feel like if you took any team from the East and put them in the West in the playoffs, they wouldn't have been higher than a 5 seed.
Oh no, that's pretty accurate.
And so that's exactly really what we said, isn't it? In the first playoff conversation.
And that's pretty sad to say.
And that's been happening for a while, except for I think it was a year or two ago, where the East was actually considered the better conference, but it was for 1 year.
And it was probably because of injury and flukes. I think that was probably when Kobe was injured for so long and everything like that, too. And LeBron never left the East. I want to see LeBron. If LeBron wants to say he's the greatest player in the league, or greatest player ever, go play in the West.
I don't think you can without getting murdered by a crazy Cavs fan.
Exactly. I want to see you get to as many championships as you got to with the Heat, and I want to see you get to as many championships as you got with Cleveland, and on a West team. With the competition, regular season is going to be harder.
Here's a couple of things. First of all, I feel like we're prophets or something, because we did. We said that. Second of all, I mentioned 3 teams to you in an earlier podcast that the Cavaliers would walk in and sweep. And it was the Pacers, the Raptors, and the Celtics.
They didn't sweep the Celtics.
I
told you the Celtics would win a pride game. I told you that. And I told you that IT was not a superstar. Because, he was hurt, which definitely affected things. But game 1, he got bodied by the Cavs.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it also proved the point that
size
a good team can beat a bunch of stars. I mean, Boston proved that they could do it for 1 game.
I mean,
there's no way they could do it for a best-of-7 series.
Toon Squad.
But
hey, Toon Squad.
Good point.
Toon Squad.
Space Jam was on the other day.
I did watch
it.
That's
all you need to know. Monstars lost.
No.
They did. That's fact.
Yeah.
If there's a second one, you guys are going to have to root for LeBron, or you're going to be a traitor to your
planet. They're never going to make it. Michael Jordan ain't going to sign off on that.
I'm rooting for the Toon Stars.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope he has
I'm rooting for the Monstars. Yeah, I'm rooting for the Monstars in that one.
Monstars,
how dare you betray the Looney Tunes like that, just because they have LeBron
I'm
on their
rooting
team.
for Bugs, but,
Honestly, I think this is terrible for the NBA because, one, of how predictable it is. All right.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like we knew what it was going to be before it happened.
And 2, because especially the Cavaliers didn't happen organically. I hated when the Celtics brought in Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett. I hated when the Heat brought in Bosh and LeBron. I don't hate the players for leaving. I just hate.
You hate the trend of building a team to be a monster
the Yankees,
for just that purpose.
The Yankees.
Yeah, because it's not a team.
They've been doing that for decades.
It's not building. That's what it is. It's not
They've
building.
Taken
It's buying
for a little bit.